Hi Shomra, my name is Merlin, and I would like to share a story, something I experienced with you. So, in 2020, in April, I dreamt of my mom, and my mom came to me as a fully realized master in my dream. And I was just speechless when I felt that. I was just waking up and it made me speechless. And shortly after that experience, my mother started to indicate that she was enlightened. And I just rolled my eyes. I was like, oh, not another one of those, because I had just seen her, even in my dream, as a truly free being. And I knew she wasn't that yet. I mean, at least living it on Earth in this experience. And she started to always, she didn't say like, hey, I'm enlightened, but she just implied that she's enlightened. And I was like, however, something very funny and interesting happened, because every time I met my mom or talked to my mom, in particular when I met her in person, I noticed that she had a very, very special energy. And I didn't even have a word for it other than the energies of enlightenment. And yet I was like, I don't know. And because I always felt like gurus, Indian gurus, they weren't truly enlightened in the sense that Yeshua, Jesus was, or Buddha is, or whatever. And then also in 2020, 1.5 years ago, a little bit less, in November 20, in the night between November 20th and November 21st, I stood in my room and I don't even know how, but suddenly I just had this realization, and it was actually about you, about Shambra. And I realized that for us Shambra who stay on the planet, enlightenment is really not just one point in time, boom, and you're enlightened. I realized it's more of a phase. It begins at one point with something, and I didn't really realize yet what that was, although I was going to realize later. But I knew it begins with something, and then we open up and free up, and we let go of everything. We just let go of all the limitations, and suddenly we are free. And that was something that I realized, because prior to that experience, I always thought that I have my struggles, I have my problems, and suddenly, boom, I'm enlightened, and it's all gone, and everything's perfect. But I realized, it's a phase. It starts with one point, and then you open up and open up and open up, and it's like you just walk out of a forest, and suddenly you realize, oh, I'm out of the forest now. Okay, cool. You're free forever. That was kind of the realization that I had. And then I realized something else, and that explains later what I felt about my mom, because I just had this realization, and then suddenly about you, actually, a lot, or enlightenment, embodied enlightenment in general. And then I realized that, holy cow, I am enlightened. I don't know how it happened, but I just suddenly knew that I was enlightened. Gosh, I'm not gonna cry. And I doubted it. I was like, what? I mean, that easy after all that time? But then I just had this knowingness, and it was like a very, very peaceful feeling, the most peaceful feeling I've ever felt. I just suddenly knew I was enlightened. I couldn't explain it, but I just knew that I was. And I just sat there, and this feeling felt so familiar. I knew I had felt it many times in dream state. I knew I could have experienced it before. And I just knew I am enlightened. Because I felt nothing but that realization. I just felt me. And I had my eyes open and sat down on my bed. But I felt like time stood still. I mean, it didn't really, but it was just, I just felt peace. Just peace. And that went on for some time, even though I was a bit timeless, not fully, but a bit timeless in that moment. And then Katumi came in, and I asked him, Katumi, was that my enlightenment? And he said, yes, you are enlightened. Well, actually, I probably said, am I enlightened? But he said, yes, indeed. And then I experienced for the first time my flow. I just felt a flow. It wasn't the full experience of true soul flow yet, but it was the first time I really experienced my flow. And then that went away. It just stopped at some point. And I was so frustrated. I was like, what the hell? What's happening? And then I realized something. All right, I mean, enlightenment is a phase, right? And I then actually listened to Adama's word more carefully. And I realized Adama's actually talked about it. He said, often, realization is when the human realizes the enlightenment of the soul. And this is what happened. In that moment, when I realized that I was enlightened, I just knew that I was, and I never doubted since then. I actually know that I'm enlightened. However, I have to say that I don't embody it in my human life on an everyday basis. I don't embody being the master that I know I am. But still it changed everything, because it was like, I am enlightened, period. I will never have a discussion about that ever again, because I know so clearly that I am, that it just is. And yet at the same time, I knew that now the real work was gonna start. Not really work, because you just let go. But I knew that at that point, I just started to let go of everything. And I did. And yeah, I don't even know why I felt like sharing that with you. But a couple of days ago, when the Crimson Circle, in Louisville, there was this fire, I just knew that this was a sign, something we had already planned a long time ago, that it was time to stop hiding and start doing what we came here to do. It was something that was already coded before we came back to Earth. And not the exact details, but roughly this experience of just having like a catastrophe, and then we just survived it, It was no big deal at all. And yeah, for some reason I just felt like now I wanted to share that video. So yeah, that's it. Just want to share with you that I am enlightened, and yet I'm still experiencing coming into my flow again. I actually felt my flow a second time a bit later this year. Last year, 2021. I felt my flow a second time. That was even more impressive. And when I say flow, I mean what Tobias calls Ali'i in the sexual energy school. Just the connection with my soul, or our soul. Yeah, that was very much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you around.